Matthew Smith.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to my graduation video. Look, most of this video is going to be comprised of me interviewing my family members. I want to see if you noticed something by the way I've interviewed them and who my family are and some of their stories. I love them all to pieces. I hope you see some similarities between me and them. They formed a lot of who I am today, but we're going to give you a little sneak peek into my family on my graduation weekend. I'm graduating from Notre Dame College with an MBA. I don't know if I'm done with school yet. I might go back and do my master's in divinity. Maybe I'll do my PhD one day, or maybe I'm done. We don't know yet. We don't know what God's got planned. I'm leaving that kind of open. But make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, most importantly. And also send it to a friend if you enjoy it. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I'm excited to let you in on my family and introduce them to you. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
I'm Briggy Smale and I'm Matthew Smith's auntie.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Who are you to me? So firstly, thank you for coming out for my graduation.
That was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have missed it. We had to wait a while, but...
We had a good trip. We did all right.
Yeah, it was really great.
What do you do for work right now before we get on to the other stuff?
Okay, so I work in music education at a music uni called BIM, which actually expands out from people learning how to play bass, drums, guitar, vocals, and bass, drums, guitar, songwriting, and then also music business and event management.
I always was fascinated when you tell me stories about your time at Radio 1.
Yeah.
So BBC Radio 1, British Broadcasting Radio
Corporation,
1 Corporation. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Broadcasting.
That
makes sense.
British Broadcasting Corporation.
And you have met some pretty cool people.
Yeah, I have.
Just rattle off a few.
I interviewed Whitney Houston and Eminem, people like that. We have a UK Black Music Award ceremony called the Mobos. So I interviewed Jay-Z.
Stormzy won a Mobo.
Stormzy won a Mobo.
More recently.
Yeah.
When I was a child, what did you, a little change of gears here, but what did you think I was going to be like as an adult?
I remember you're a very gentle child. You know, you were quite kind of, I know you were born large, you were a big baby, but you were quite kind of slim and stuff, weren't you? And I remember, which I'm saying that now because obviously he's stacked now, I was getting involved in a charity event at Stanmer House, this place in near Brighton where I live in the UK. And I remember talking to you about it, and you said you wanted to come and help me run this charity stage. And I remember having a conversation with you about saying you wanted to be a missionary. This is before you got into all your sport. This is before you did your horse riding, your rugby, your cricket and all of that. So my experience of you is more thinking about your charitable outlook right from the start, about helping people.
What is a fond memory you have between the two of us?
Well, I've got quite a few of those. When you came home, when you were a baby, the minute you came home, and I put you in that little blue... So I was so excited about us having a baby in the family. And I bought this, it's ridiculous now and you probably hate it, but there was this blue and green stripy baby grow with hats, socks. And that's
We'll throw that up on there.
That is my favourite picture as well, because it was the first time I'd held a baby from our family, basically. And obviously, with the birth being difficult and Omar getting run over and all, you know, nearly losing you, nearly losing your mum, nearly losing my mum, your Omar, was quite the mad experience. So when you did come home and you were there and there's like, he's safe now and he's back, that obviously that's the first memory because that was you born. Black Eyed Peas gig.
Oh, that was fun.
That was really good because I always want, because I've been around music most of my life, I wanted to be the first person that took you to a good gig. That would have
been what, 11, 12?
Yeah. And that was, I mean, that was a big and I don't tend to, because I spent my life being at gigs and in big places, big venues, I often don't like being in big venues now because it's just too much. But obviously with you, like, we couldn't see the Black Eyed Peas, who were massive at the time, in a small little venue. But I remember we had to leave a bit early to get on the train home because it's a nightmare getting home. But that was lovely because it was that was you and me doing that together. I think my favourite times have been when you've been in my world.
Yeah.
That sounds really selfish, but it's more to do with seeing you in a different environment and how you engage with my friends who are very fond of you. Like, I've posted on Facebook about your graduation, and it's really interesting to see my friends commenting and stuff like that, because they're fond of you. So that's nice.
Well, I would say as well, for anybody listening who's going to the UK, Brighton is a must-stop location.
It is. It's a really unusual place because it's so accepting of anything and everyone, and it's a real piece of... It's a bit like when people go to Glastonbury Festival and you have a memorable time. Brighton's the same. A lot of people go to Brighton and they don't ever leave. They just feel instantly...
When it's also, even if you think about the way the city's set up, it's nice being on the beach there and the pier, and everything's kind of
really compact.
Like you can really have a good time in Brighton and not jump in a car once. You know what I mean?
Well, you can walk really from one end to the other, and the only thing is it's got Pebble Beach, which isn't so nice. What are your fondest memories of us being together?
I think it is Brighton stuff too. We've definitely had some good funny times, especially on the pier, playing the penny slots and stuff.
Do you remember saying to me once when we went into this lovely grocery store that was at the bottom of the road, and you went, "Auntie Brig, are you a lesbianesiac?"
I remember that. I think I had learnt 2 words that week and washed them together.
Joined them up.
Well, look, thank you seriously for coming over, because it is
it's great.
It's a gesture of the because it's not cheap. It's not, it's a gesture of how much you lot care for me. And
we wanted to. I mean, I know from doing graduations where I work in the UK how important it is, but also I always tear up when I'm seeing people that I've taught.
Right.
So for it to be my member of the family, and then if you think, I mentioned bringing you when you came home in that little blue and green outfit, to then seeing you striding across the stage getting an MBA, the amount of pride that you have seeing, oh my God, you've got through life, not saying unscathed, but these days you don't know what, it's...
For the most part, pretty much,
Yeah, and you're going, wow, look at the achievement. So well done you.
Thank you, Auntie Brig. All right, Omar.
My darling.
So you introduce yourself.
I'm Kathleen. I'll call myself Kate, because I like shortening.
Yeah.
And if I'm called Kathleen, I know I've got to behave myself.
Right.
So that's
been up to no good.
Yeah, up to no good. Kathleen, my mother used to say. Yes, I'm Omar, because you had South African your dad and I wanted to make it easier for you as children, that you didn't have to have a grandma and an Omar. So I did. An Omar sounds nicer, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm always being known as Omar.
Yeah.
To these 2 lovely boys, who've been the brightest sparks in my life since 97, wasn't it, when you were born?
Yeah, 1997.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your life. You were born in 1939, is that correct? Yeah.
February 1939, and I think I told you earlier that I should have been in
January.
March.
Oh, March, sorry.
So I was born a month earlier, when they called me premature, weighing 3 pounds.
Right.
And at the time the country was facing the prospect of war, and in fact I don't know when it started, but I must have been about 6 months old. But I do remember as children we used to have to go to school with our gas masks on, with a Mickey Mouse tongue, and trying, sort of talking to your friends through a gas mask.
Yeah.
And I was always told not to pick anything up from the road, because they thought that the Germans were dropping poisonous things or something. When there was an air raid, that was a horrific noise, it really was. And as children we had to just get out from the classroom, form a line and quietly walk across the playground to this big there was a hole in the ground. And then all we could do was sit on a bench, and we were told to learn our tables or read our reading books. So I've always said that although I'm not very good at maths, I do know my tables.
Right.
And I've got Hitler to thank for that.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your mum and dad.
Mum was born in 1910 and Dad was born in 1912. I think they met through a walking group because they lived completely opposite ends of the area, because Mum lived in Hanley and my father lived in a place called Smallthorne, which must have been about 8 miles away at least. But in those days, you just walked, you know, and they was in this walking group. And because my mum, when she was a child, she had TB in her hip, and she was in an invalid chair for a long time. It's like a big long cage, wickerwork thing, and her poor mother used to have to push her up a massive hill to get her to get some support, I expect. But consequently, Mum hardly ever had any schooling. But she was as sharp as a yeah, whatever is sharp. She was on the ball all the time, and I can see Briggy in her.
Yeah.
Because I remember the time when we were, because we only had we were in a council house. There was one room, living room, next room the kitchen, and the toilet was outside. And there were 3 bedrooms upstairs. I had the smallest one. But I can remember seeing my mum sitting by the fireplace, the music was on, and she was tapping to it like that, and then and really going it. And the knife broke because of the vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had obviously a coal fire. I've got a memory, I mean I've been told it, but I've got some kind of memory of a feeling of actually falling, and apparently the fire was low in the grate and me toddling around, and I tripped over and fell in the fire grate with all the embers. But it's only a little, because I've been told that. You know what I mean?
Right. You were probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, I must have only been down there for a few minutes. But the thing is, we at the left-hand side of the fireplace was a little oven, and because in those days, well, we couldn't afford things like hot water bottles even, so what we used to do is warm a house brick in this oven, and then we went to bed. My dad would wrap the house, take it out of the oven, wrap it in newspaper, and he was very good at that because he worked at the co-op, and in those days, when you sold sugar, it was in sugar bags made of paper, which we now call sugar paper, and he was very clever at making them all secure. So so we used to collect our brick wrapped in paper and go upstairs to one of the bedrooms. Yeah. It was a bit difficult to move around the bed, this brick.
What did you think I was going to be like as an adult when I was a child?
I knew you would be sporty. I knew you would be very insightful, because I remember that little thing that your mum had presented to me, where at school you had to say who your favourite person was. And I remember when it was given to me, you explained, you said, well, we had to say who our favourite person was. I chose me, because if I chose Mum, Dad would be upset, and I chose Dad, Mum would be upset. And it's such a lovely piece of writing, you know, that I make things for you, and I'm the fizz in your Sprite. And the picture you did, it had got me off to a T, but you're talking outside my mouth and things like that. I worried a lot about you and your early youth because of the, what do you call it, all the tablets you had to take.
Yeah.
Because I remember I took you up to London once.
The epilepsy?
Yeah. I took you up to London and I should have given you your tablet and I forgot it. And we were up in London. I was literally on tenterhooks the whole time we were there. I was watching you, is he all right? I hadn't got anything to do, you know, but I'm really, really pleased that's sorted itself out.
What's a fond memory you have of the two of us?
Well, we've always had a very close bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when Ronnie couldn't say your name and he calls you Mamu, if I look at your picture and I say, "Oh, Mamu, I love you." Yeah, and it is a lovely feeling having a strong young man coming forward, you know. Yeah, it's lovely. Fondest memory is just being with you, actually, sharing time.
So this is a tricky question, but over the next 3 or 4 generations, what is something that you want our family to know or to have or do as we raise children, choose husbands, choose wives?
I think the most important thing is to be loving towards each other, even though there are differences, and tolerant and understanding of other people's viewpoints and experiences and needs, really. I'm not, because I do understand, because as you, like when I was with my 2 brothers, we were a solid unit. We had to go around together, because Mum was at work, Dad was in the army, so we went round as a unit. And that was a very strong bond, but as we've got older, things have kind of taken different course. And the one with Trevor, I do regret, but I just had to take the course I did with him, because it was destroying how I felt about him. Whereas Brother John, he's a good head of the family, because he's very kind, gentle, thoughtful, and doesn't rush at things, you know. He's a lovely lad. He used to have blonde, curly hair, and then it suddenly turned black when he was about 5 or 6 or something like that, and now he's gone on. He wears a hat.
Right, he wears a little fat peak cap.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to visit, Omar. I said to Auntie Brig, it's the best bit about it is it's the sacrificial gesture of taking the time, and it's a tricky flight and it costs money.
Yeah.
But it does. You know, I feel loved by it, so I appreciate you coming and watching me walk the stage.
Don't ever question that, ever. And I'm pleased I had the insight when we did our Facebook that I could see in you that there was, and that please don't go without saying something.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got all I need, and I can always spare some more.
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks, Omar.
Yeah.
Hello, Karen.
Hello, Matthew.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Karen Smith, and I am your mother.
Congratulations, you won the mother lottery there, didn't you? Great. How would you describe the blessing that has been mothering me?
I don't describe it. I don't know. I mean, I've told you before, I was somebody who never wanted children. Not actively.
Oh, that's not a good start, all right?
No, well, I'm getting there. I didn't actively want children. So I was always a bit trepidatious about whether I would enjoy being pregnant or enjoy having a child, or what if I didn't love it, whatever. And then as soon as I came round, after my rather brutal birth, my first thing was, where's my baby?
Yeah.
So, it's quite an incredible transformation from pre-birth to birth, and then you are a very cute little baby and little boy.
When did you realise that your son was a genetic masterpiece?
I thought you were going to say a pain in the arse.
When was the moment you realised, like, this might be the smartest, best looking, most excellent human being God ever created?
Well, maybe some parents think that, but I don't. I've never thought that of either of you. I just think you're mine. You're my special. You're special to me, and it's brilliant watching you do things that make you proud or see you succeed in things or whatever. But I'm under no illusions that you're the best human being in the world. Is this interview not going the right way?
No, that's okay. That's fine. All right. What did you think I was going to be like as an adult when I was a child?
I did wonder if you would do, because you did all those masterpieces with your animals, I did wonder if you would do something.
What's a masterpiece? What's that?
When you had all your little toy farm animals and army soldiers, and you would create like the plains of Africa and them all marching or whatever. I did wonder if you would do something that fitted along with that, because I don't know what would fit along with, but sort of organising or I'm not sure. I don't know. I think given the circumstances that we were under, I think with both you and Ronnie, all I've ever wanted is for you to be happy. And what you do, just because it doesn't make, you might do something that isn't what I would call happy, in terms of it wouldn't make me happy if I was a whatever. But as long as you are happy and successful in terms of being happy, that's all I really wanted for both of you. So the times that have been anguished times of when you've not been happy, if you know what I mean.
When you think about those times, what comes to mind?
Not that bloody playground thing. So something like you don't know what it's like to walk around the playground, or to wander around the playground and have nobody to play with all the time. And bearing in mind I was pregnant with Ronnie at the time, so over emotional anyway, I felt like somebody just reached into my gut and pulled it out through my belly button. That was horrific. It was horrible. The worst bit. And I'm glad I was on maternity leave then, so I could pick you up, and I picked you up at lunchtime, and we'd go and sit on the top of the hill and we'd eat sandwiches and whatever, so you didn't have to wander lonely.
What's a fond memory you have of the two of us?
One that always sticks in my mind is the throwing the rat up and down the stairs.
I knew you were going to say that one.
Did it?
I think it wasn't a real rat.
No, it was a toy rat. So you had a lot of toy stuffed animals. You were at the top of the stairs, and we had like a stuffed rat.
It was a plastic rat with like little rubber pellets in it.
Yeah, it was actually. It was slightly scrunchy, wasn't it?
And it looked like a rat, like an actual. It was like life size.
Yeah, and the time you carried me back to the lorry after I'd had 1 tequila too many, and then I threw up in Ronnie's hat.
Oh, I didn't know you did throw up in his hat. Oh, I think I forgot about it.
Not his riding hat. That hat that you'd got from rugby tour for being the first one to be sick or something. Do you remember that bear hat?
No, it wasn't from being sick. It was something good.
Was it Winnie the Pooh?
It was something. Well, I say good. It was something stupid like class clown or whatever.
Oh, okay.
What do you think the future holds for me?
I don't know. I can tell you what I hope the future holds for you, which is to continue doing things that you enjoy doing, to stay friends with Brandon and meet new friends, to meet somebody that you want to make a life with, have kids, to carry on going adventures with your old mother.
Yeah.
To develop a stronger relationship with Ronnie, or to continue developing a stronger relationship with Ronnie. I had this conversation with Ronnie, well, and you, when you said about, it's not all about money. Being content, and I always sound a bit of a tree hugger. I am a tree hugger at Nate. This world is beautiful. You know, if you think about the things we've seen and the millions of things we haven't seen, this planet is beautiful. And I think so many people don't see it, want to see it. You know, how many people who don't want to get out because there's a bit of mud on the ground, or don't want to go out because it's raining. When I was going in for my operation and I thought I might die, I took some video of, it was a blue sky and the trees were just coming out. So, you know, when you get that really bright green of leaves coming out, and I just took some videos of the trees blowing in the against the sky. And because I thought I might not be alive the next year. And sorry, that made me cry now. I just hope you have a view of this planet that I do, that it is beautiful.
And that's a view with, I suppose, hope and not despair, and I don't know if optimism is the right word, but appreciation, and
Yeah.
just, and actually saying, all right, let's go out and actually, you know, endeavour a little bit. All right, well, thanks for coming and watching me graduate and coming out for the week. I was saying to Omar and Auntie Brig, it's good to have the knowledge that there's people willing to, you know, take time out of their lives and spend the money, and also just that are excited about.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
things
we've
that are
had some
going on in
really
my life.
good, you know, little things, like that picture of me watching you play rugby, because it just captured something that, I don't know, it's the angle of the head or something. And, you know, sometimes it's just the mundane that are important. You don't have to do anything spectacular. I mean, all I did was sit there on a cold day and play rugby. But that's important.
Yeah.
Did I answer things that you wanted me to?
Yeah, that was great. That was perfect.
I mean, you are very special to me. I find it difficult to say these things, but you know, I'm going to bloody cry. You and Ronnie are the most important things in the world to me.
I know that one. I can tell by the mum you are.
I try my best. I don't always get it right, but who does? But you are.
Alright, y'all, that's been the video. This video is close to my heart because obviously it's my family. You know, they're my people. What you will have noticed is that they're all women. But the reason I bring that up is to kind of explain the root of my channel, and why you see so much of my heart is based around masculinity, based around taking the gospel of Jesus Christ personally and seriously, because I see that and I hear their stories, and I love them all so dearly, and they've all gone and built lives, and they've all had careers and done amazing things. But in the context of family, I know I want a family. I know I want to have children and a wife one day. And I know how important doing things correctly are, because there's so much human error in this world, I'll call it. You could call it evil, but there's so much human error. And having seen my family members, my closest family members, do what they can, and nobody's been perfect. They've made mistakes. They've needed grace themselves. But the reason I talk about how to be a man, and I let you guys in on me learning how to be a true man of God and how to get better and be a more steadfast, reliable, strong, gentle, loving man, is because I see my role as being a key part of continuing our generations, and not just continuing what we have done. We've seen a lot of divorce in our family. We've seen a lot of that sort of thing. We've seen a lot of male narcissism particularly. It motivates me to father godly boys who yield to the truth and yield to the Lord. And it motivates me to raise accountable women who choose well and who love deeply and who know God. And the fact that I have no men to interview in this, you know, I have a father and a grandfather, but they're estranged in many ways, at least. And they did not stay with their wives, and their wives did not, you know, there's been a lot of tearing of the family. I hope this gives you an insight as to why I take this so seriously. Not every difficult thing has to be, and then so-and-so got killed and, died. No, sometimes it's just the foundation of what God intends for family is teared apart a little bit by selfishness and narcissism and psychopathy in many ways. That's why I'm so dead serious and so dead set on not budging on how I'm going to raise my family, and I'm going to love my auntie, my mother and my grandma by raising my children in what I know to be true, and raising them in truth and love and hope and peace and joy and with God's Spirit, because things can easily go awry. And the fact that my auntie, my mum, my grandmother have all had basically successful lives where they have family members that love them and are there for them through all the turbulence of their lives and their youth and their adulthood is a testament to how God has been there for our family and had his hand on my family. Even though not everybody in my family believes in the Lord, he's still kept his hand on our family, and he's been faithful. He's been faithful to us, and he's graced us. And I'm so glad I've come to know him, and I can't wait to love my family by being there for them as the years go by, and by building the next generations on solid ground. And that's what I fully intend to do. And I don't mean for this to just be unnecessarily deep, but gentlemen, take stock of your life as you move forward. Take stock and make sure that you're focused and that you're contributing in some way each day to healing and becoming a productive member of God's kingdom by having faith and building your relationship with God, and hinge all you do on the grace afforded to you so that you can walk in the purpose and spirit of God. Make sure you do that. Don't forget.
Matt Smith TV.